taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance.
Welcome to the Speaker Circle, where we're a safe place to come and gather virtually to share resources, ask questions, and receive monthly training to build our speaker profile. Whether you're a new emerging speaker or you're an advanced speaker, we invite all to come here. Join us today on Facebook at My Speaker Circle. See you soon.
Hello. Oh my gosh, we're live. I am so excited to be here because it has literally been a minute since we have been live. Actually, we haven't been live all year. So happy New Year, everybody. I am so excited to share with you guys today. My name is Lanice McGee of Lanice Leads, and I am the host here where we go live once a month to bring an expert to your home, right? So whether you are a new speaker, you thinking about speaking, or you've been in the game for a long time, my ultimate goal is to connect you to the resources that you need so you can execute your purpose perfectly, right? And so today is a very special day because we have an amazing guest. And I always say, grab your pens, things like that. But I'm so serious. Like, please, you guys, you are going to want to watch the replay. You're going to need to grab your pen, invite and tag any speaker that you know, somebody who's thinking about speaking, anybody that needs to get their brand up, right? Their brand game up, tag them on today because this conversation is going to be real. It's going to be good. And I'm super excited about that. So as you are coming in, you can go ahead, chime in, say hi, speak to us, let us know that you're here, so that we can make sure that we connect with you. And as I am engaging with our guests today, if you have any questions, make sure to put those in the chat as well. We're going to try to get to those. And if you are watching the replay, put replay in there. Also still ask those questions because I'll be sure to tag our guests in those to make sure that all of your questions are answered. It's so important that we engage. And so before we get to the special guest today, I just want to take a moment and give a shout out to our most recent member of the week from Speaker Circle. So thank you, Teresa, so much for being a part of the Speaker Circle. We are so happy that you have decided to join us and engage. We hope to highlight you as well in the Speaker Circle. And how do you get highlighted? Just be a part of the Speaker Circle, engage, share, talk, join us. And then we may be reaching out to you to highlight you, share your brand and your story so that people can connect to you as well. And so let's get right to what we are here for today. We're not here just to hear me talk. We are definitely here to connect to our guest speaker. And so I have a bio. He has a very lengthy bio, so I'm going to read a little bit. He has a lengthy bio at a young age because this man is doing great things. Okay, let me just start it off there. Andy Adage is a speaker, a trainer, an entrepreneur that gives the opportunity to people to share their story and make a significant impact. Andy started his journey working as a manager at Metro PC store when one day, can y'all say one day? One day, someone believed in him. This is so powerful to me. I just have to stop because sometimes we're waiting for a certain person to believe in us or a group to believe in us when it could take one person to believe. It could take one person to speak into your life. It could take you viewing this virtual conversation today that can literally shift your life, right? One day, someone believed in him and suggested that he started his own cell phone business. At this point, Andy had limiting beliefs. Has anybody been there where you had limiting beliefs, not thinking you could? He had limiting beliefs. But, hey, I love that word, but, hey, because then something good come after that. But by one man telling him he could do it, guess what? He did. He did. Andy did just that. He opened his own store, and his life was changed forever. With the knowledge he had gained and the decision to entertain the thought of him actually being successful, his first store broke 6 figures in only 5.5 months. Y'all give him up just for that, right? Over the next year and a half, he would open 3 more stores and generate millions of dollars and hire 32 people. Y'all, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to that journey and story, but let me bring you to where we're at now. Now, Andy also, he works with speakers that want to make an impact in the world beyond just making money. Andy had a vision of one day he would speak alongside the motivational speaker Les Brown. He thought it was just a dream. Again, I go back to that limited belief. Guess what? That limited belief was crushed as well. Why? Because not only did Les Brown become his mentor, he got to go on tour with him. Why? Because Andy showed up. He showed up authentically. He showed up powerfully. And that's why he got that opportunity. So, in the mighty words of Andy Ade, our amazing speaker today, he says, don't let fear or limiting belief stand in your way. Most importantly, can somebody type in the chat box and say, show up? He says, show up. Show up powerfully. Show up as yourself. And the people who you are going to be speaking to from your stage. The more you learn to show up as yourself, and the more you learn to use your authentic voice on stage, the more impact you can make on the world. Woo! Y'all ready for this? Y'all ready for this? Okay, I'm getting high because I'm ready for this. Y'all ready for this? Woo! So we know that we are not in person. So what we got to do, we got to give some hearts. Give some hearts because Andy is in the place. Yes, Andy is in the place. And we are so ready. We are so ready to hear you speak. We are so ready to hear you share. So before we even start, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing and pouring into the people today, because I already know. I've been to some of your stuff. I know what you do. I know what you bring. They not ready. That's why I told them, get ready. Get that pen. Get ready, because Andy is here today. So welcome. Thank you for coming.
Man, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. And so I have some questions for Andy, and I broke them down because Andy is a brand mogul, right? He is a brand mogul. He's a master at branding. That's one thing that he does well. But he has spoken on many stages. He has helped many business excel. He has helped many speakers get on stages. He does so much. So I just kind of wanted to break this down into, let's first learn a little bit more about you. Then we can talk a little bit about the speaking, and then how people can overcome any fears or limiting thoughts that they might have. So again, show Andy some love and some hearts. They put in the chat that they showing up, they ready. So they are ready. So
one of the things that I recognize that's common in most successful individuals is that they show up. And there's 2 ways of showing up. Number one is physically, is by being on the platform. So many of you are here on the speaker circle. But the second thing is by showing up powerful. And powerful means to be seen and to be heard on the platform, similar to what Missy just did right now in the speaker circle. So it's not about just clicking the follow in the group, but it's about being active in the group and sharing your videos and sharing your content, so you can show up powerfully, so that way you're seen and you're heard.
Ooh, that's so good. Look, see, I wasn't even ready for that one. Come on. And so I know I read a little bit about you, but just to set a little bit more tone, is there anything else that you want the people to know about you, who you are, that is important to this conversation?
I mean, you started off like you shared some amazing content about my past in the beginning phases. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 8 years, and what I realized is that there's a commonality. What I realized is that there's a distance between people who are truly successful and then people who have the idea or the vision of being successful but never reach it. And what we found is that there's a system, there's a formula to creating success, and that's what we're going to be discussing today.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, if you can give people a little insight of how you even came up, like exactly what your business is and how you came up with the idea.
Well, my first business was in the cell phone industry, and I owned cell phone stores on the East Coast in a small state in the country, and I was raised in a small city in that state, and I sold cell phones for a guy who, in his right at the time was really young when he opened up his business, but he became a mentor, and I came under his wing, learned from him how to sell cell phones, and then eventually managed some of his locations, and then grew my own locations and opened up my own locations. So I had to overcome a tremendous amount of fear. And once I made my first large amount of cash, I moved to the West Coast, and what I noticed that supported me in thriving was always the speakers, the people who were consistently pouring me. It's as if I had somebody like a cousin or a father or a mentor just right around in my ear all the time, just feeding me positive information. So I knew that I wanted to go in that direction, so I could help other people and feed other people that positive information. So I became a speaker. But what I found is that people don't make money from speaking. Speaking is a form of marketing. So you don't make money from marketing unless you have a system that once people see you, you can generate income. So I thought it was about speaking, but I realized it was about systematizing. And then once you have a system, that's how you make money.
Wow. Okay, so can you share a little bit about that piece of your business, how you actually help speakers with their business and the marketing piece?
Well, speaking is a form of marketing. That's number one. That's what we got to understand. Speakers don't make money from speaking. I had misunderstood that for quite some time now. Speakers don't make money from speaking. I spent a lot of time with high level speakers, and what I found is that when a personal brand gets to a point of being famous, they're making money because they have a system that generates income. And for those who are listening, on the back end, this is called back end income. So as a speaker, as a brand, when you're getting on stage, you're generating income from the back end. So once you have a process to make income from the back end, that means every time you're get on stage, you're making money because your face is in the front, but your money takes place on the back end. Similar to like a music artist. When a music artist gets on stage, they got paid, but many times they're getting paid on the back end.
So do you help speakers then develop this kind of system? And then also what was a moment when you knew like, okay, just speaking isn't the answer and I know I have to do something different?
Well, for those who are listening, want to write this down, proximity is power. By being close enough to proximity of the action, that's when you really get to find out. So I went on this deep journey of like getting on stages. So I would get on stages with big speakers, get on their platforms, and I would speak, but I didn't see any money coming in. Right. So I'm speaking, I'm motivating, I'm inspiring people, and I don't see any money coming in. And there was an opportunity for me to start hosting events. And once I started getting into the event space and hosting events, I was bringing speakers on my stage. And so now instead of me focusing on just me speaking on other people's stages, I hosted the event, I marketed the event, I brought people to the event, and I would bring speakers to speak on my stage. And these are successful speakers, successful brands making millions of dollars. And I looked at their system, I looked at their business model, and I realized none of them spoke, none of those speakers spoke on stage without having a product or service. So what I help people do is I help people create their product and service as speakers, as brands, and I also teach them how to monetize their product or service, also known as market their product and service to get customers. So I teach them how to create their product, I teach them how to get customers for their product, and I teach them how to build a long-term business by having a virtual team based out of the United States run and manage their business for them. So that way the speaker doesn't have to. All they got to do is speak.
Wow. Okay. So you help people with the back end. So they're not just speaking for passion, they speaking for pay.
They're speaking for profit. Yeah, you're speaking to get
Yes.
paid.
Yes, that is so good. Okay. So now that you're doing that and you're getting speakers connected to that system, how would what about people's budgets? So I know that people say, yeah, I want to do things. Is there a way that if they have a small budget or no budget, depending on, is there only certain type of speakers that you work with, or if you can kind of expand on who is the right speaker to connect with you?
Speakers from all angles. We have different opportunities. Like, for example, November 4th and November 5th, I'm hosting an event. I host an event called the Progression Conference. It's a one-day business event. Now, this takes place here in Las Vegas. So I'm going to give the opportunity to 15 new novice speakers to, number one, get on my stage in front of a large audience, over 150 people, plus write a book, an anthology book with me, where you get to write a chapter in the book. I'll write a chapter, and then the other authors write a chapter in the book. And so this is going to be for the person who is at the stage of the beginning, and I give them the opportunity to get on that platform. So that's you. That's for you if you're in the beginning. Also, if you're someone who is a high-level business owner and you've already been speaking for quite some time, then where I support you is I develop marketing systems to put you on more stages, to broadcast you on social media, and to manage your backend. So that way, when a customer is a complete stranger, has never done business with you, we take them through an automated process for them to become your customer through our social media marketing strategy. So people who are starting, I'm going to give you an opportunity. People who are already successful at speaking, I'm going to do the work for you, so that way you don't have to do that through my marketing agency.
Okay. And we're going to dig a little bit more into how people can connect to you and can connect to your service. I want to learn a little bit more about you for the audience listening. So you have a product, you've been doing this, you've been successful in it. So can you share with the audience what are some sacrifices that you had to make for yourself in order to get to where you're at now?
Sleep. Sleep is definitely one of them. And waking up early, that's something. It's consistently getting uncomfortable to the point that what's uncomfortable becomes comfortable. I remember one of my mentors. I used to go to the gym with him, and I lived in Los Angeles. He lived in Orange County, and the distance between my house and the gym was about an hour away. But this man was so successful. He had hundreds of businesses, thousands of employees throughout the country, and I wanted that proximity. We talked about that earlier. Proximity is power. So I would wake up, and he's like a former bodybuilder, so he's like super fit. And I would wake up at 3:00 in the morning, and I would drive to Chino Hills, which is about an hour from LA, in the morning. And I would drive to Chino Hills, get to the gym at 4:00 before he got there. And he lived like 4 or 5 minutes away, and I would show up. So that's what I mean by the opportunity that you're looking for is in the show up. So I would show up, but not just be in the place and like I'll just live by myself. I remember I was never invited to the gym in that example. I just showed up to the gym. So I saw on his social media where he worked out, and I just pulled up the next day. And he's like, who are you? And then we developed that relationship. I ended up becoming the #1 guest on his podcast, kicking off his podcast. We grew a strong relationship over time. And that energy, went into me, and that understanding of how to grow, how to excel has gone to me. So proximity is power, but I completely forgot your question that you just asked.
That's okay. No, because that was so good. You said you didn't wait to be invited. You showed up. And so a lot of times we're waiting to get invited to the table. We're waiting for someone to create the table for us. No, you've seen it. You knew how important it was just to be under that kind of leadership and getting that. You said you showed up and you were willing to sacrifice a whole hour, right, to be to get that connection and to build that relationship. And so I guess my question to the audience that is watching, what are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to sacrifice for your next level? So that's really good. So thank you for sharing that. And then you talked a little bit about in your bio, like your limited beliefs. What advice would you give someone listening now that may to help with their mindset or some limited beliefs that they may have?
Well, limiting belief is what I believe the idea that my insecurity, you can hurt me with. So if that's a limiting belief. So what my insecurity is, you can hurt me with. And that's going to stop me from growing. So if I share with you this data, my limiting belief, other people can stop me. But if you accept your limiting belief, I'm reading a book called 33 Strategies of War. So I'm reading this book this morning in my audiobook as I'm walking my dog. And one of the things that one of the strategies of the 33 Strategies of War is accepting things you can't control as a strategy to control your opponent, right? So accepting it. So for example, this is talking about wars in the 1500s, But it talks about the mindset when you have competition. That's what that book is about. It's like the mindset when you have competitors and opponents that are against you. Here are strategies that you can use to grow, prosper in business, in life, in actual war, and so forth. So it's about really like, so for example, if I'm at war with someone and they come in and they start attacking my place, my place. If I just look at them, or even better, let's just say someone's making fun of me because we're talking about limiting beliefs. One of my limiting beliefs was my gynecomastia. Gynecomastia is when you have enlargement of the chest tissue. So my chest is much bigger than most men, right? So I have an enlargement of my chest tissue. And that's been one of my limiting beliefs. I can't be successful. I can't get a wife. I can't get married. People are going to find me attractive. That was my limiting beliefs. I can't be on stages with man boobs. Like that was one of my limiting beliefs that was like throttling me for a short period of time. And the idea of accepting things that you can't control and using them against your opponent is like, say somebody came to me and said, Andy, you can't be successful. You got a big chest. Like a female, you can't be successful. And I said, oh, interesting. You want to buy a book? You want to buy a book? Do you want to come to one of my seminars? No, you can't be. I'm not gonna pay you money. I'm not gonna come to your events and stuff. Okay, so why are you here? I didn't invite you here. Why are you here? And then so you're taking that, and it'll frustrate your opponent. So one of my limiting beliefs was that I couldn't be successful because of my chest. So what you do with those limiting beliefs is, number one, you accept them. You accept them. And that's going to be your advantage. Whatever your limiting belief is, that's your advantage. I just had a speaker speak on my stage, and one hand, he was born with a defect in one of his hands. And he got on stage, and one is bigger than the other. So it's kind of like this. And he gets on stage, and he's sharing his story. And people are like, if he can do it, why can't I? So it's actually a competitive advantage to have these challenges. But if you live in that belief that you're not successful, you can't be because of that limiting belief, you will fail. But if you take that limiting belief and you use it to your advantage and say, so what? You know what? I'm perfect because, and you use it, you will win because everyone else has their own limiting beliefs. And when they see you hone in on yours, they're going to say, damn, if he could do it or she could do it, I got no reason to not go ahead after mine.
Wow. I hope that helps somebody. It helped me because I know I have my own limiting beliefs as well. So in all this that you have been doing, and then we're going to shift where I'm going to just focus more on some things just for speakers. What was the moment for you when you just knew, like, yes, this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
That's to say that I had that moment. So I would have had to have that moment. But really what took place in my life is when I started seeing people's lives change, and I started realizing that I can use this vehicle to accomplish my bigger goal, which is help people, support people, be a part of other people's journeys. And if I were to write, well, in 2014, I opened up my first cell phone store. Okay, so that's the first time becoming an entrepreneur. Opened up my first cell phone store, and I ran that business successfully in its first 2 years. And then I got real with myself. I wrote down, I'm a Christian. I went to church, and I wrote down values of toil. So for those of you who don't know what values of toil, you can read my book called No More Average. You can learn about it at nomoreaveragebooks.com. But values of toil is getting very clear on the workload that you do. What are the values or characteristics that you want to have happen in your work? So I got very clear because I owned the cell phone store. I was making money in the cell phone store. So I'm successful in this business, but I couldn't travel. I couldn't meet other people. I couldn't connect with other people. And my employees, many of my employees, this was really just a job to them. I wasn't really able to make the impact that I really wanted to make in the world. So I got very clear on the characteristics of my life. Number one, I wrote I could travel. I could work anywhere from the beach. I said I could work anywhere in the world. So like today here, I'm here working in a WeWork. And the beauty of, like, for example, of how the WeWork system works is that I have a card with all access that I can go to any WeWork in the country or in the world and swipe my card, get in, my internet automatically connects, and I can run my business from anywhere in the world. And so one of the things I said is I want to be able to travel and run my business wherever in the world. I don't have that paper anymore because that paper is 6 years old. But I wrote that down. I wrote down that I can travel, meet people, I can inspire people, and I'm not tethered to inventory. That was one of the things that the challenges of running a cell phone business is that you have to have inventory, the actual physical device. So I would have to make a phone call to Apple, make a big payment, purchase a bunch of phones, and store them somewhere. And as you grow, that storage becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So once I got clear on that, my values of toil, what I found was that this was the right vehicle. I help people, I can travel, I can meet people, I make tons of money doing it, and I have fun.
Yeah, and just following up with that, what was, because you created this for the people when you're making change, what was something that your system did for people that you didn't expect it to, or your business has done for people that you didn't even expect?
So originally my business model was really designed around speakers, where I was educating speakers how to start, grow, and scale their speaking business and to really generate a business from speaking. And I created online courses, sold those online courses, and held events about speaking, held trainings for speakers. I taught you how to manage your flyaway hands. I taught you manage communication, how to hold the mic, how to maintain stage real estate and such. And then I in 2019, I decided to host a national tour where I was going to go to 13 cities: Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Dallas, Houston, Miami, Ohio, Atlanta, New York, Boston, Rhode Island. So a bunch of cities. And I had 25 speakers that were designed to go to speak on my stages. Les Brown told me one day, he said, Andy, you're not successful until you help other people become successful. So I wanted to give other people the opportunity to speak on my stage. I did a training for these speakers on my stage at an event called the Brand Marketing Summit, the first ever time I held this event. And I wanted to train these speakers on the actual system of how speakers generate income. And I trained them for my stage. Come to find out, that was February 2020, right? So now I'm in the training method, getting ready for our nationwide tour. March is our first event. March 2020 is our first event. And we're going to kick it off in Atlanta. That's when I learned about COVID. It shut down my whole entire tour. But what I found is that system was working like amazing for these entrepreneurs, for these brands, and they didn't need it. They didn't need stages to do it. They didn't need to be physically in space. So they were able to do the system on Facebook, internet, Twitter, and all these other platforms to get leads and convert those leads virtually, just like this on a computer.
Wow. And you're still doing that now. So we definitely want to make sure that people are able to connect to you if that's something that they are definitely needing to again, grow their business and looking at speaking as a business and what that product that they may need and things of that nature. And so our time is going up so quick. I want to get a few questions in for speakers that may be listening, some advice. So is there anything that you wish somebody would have told you when you were first starting off as speaking, as it relates to speaking in your business?
Speaking is a business, and create systems, right? Focus on systems, systematically growing your business. So that what I'm saying is work on the business versus in the business. That's what I'm saying. Like work on the business versus in the business. So for example, as a speaker, right? Right now, I'm booking speaking gigs around the country. And there's a system of how we reach out to event organizers, build a relationship, and convert them to allow Andy to speak on stage. And who does the work? My team does the work, right? I just show up to the events, right? I show up to the events, but my team does the work. And that's because I had to do it one time. So I had to figure out the process on how to reach out to event organizers, build a relationship with them, and say, hey, can I come speak at your event? So once that system has been built out, instead of me doing it every day, every year, every month, throughout the year, I do it one time, figure out the process, record the process and document it, and then give it to a virtual team member so that way they can do it for me. And then now that person does that full time. So they're getting me speaking engagements left and right on their own without me having to be a part of it.
Yes, and you can focus on what you need to do versus getting. That is so good. I love that. I love that. And so one thing that I hear from speakers is like everybody's speaking, or there's too many people speaking on that. Is there anything that you would advice you would give for them to distinguish yourself, or any way to just kind of throw that misconception to the side?
The response for the question about the competition, where there's like too many people speaking on my specific subject, my response is going to be okay. There's too many people wearing blue shirts. Am I not going to wear a blue shirt?
Come on. Yes.
So you have value. If you believe you have value, there's an audience for you.
Wow.
If you believe you have value, there's an audience for you. But the biggest challenge that you're gonna have is gonna be marketing. It's gonna be marketing and systematizing. The person, the brand that focuses on systems and marketing and sales in their business will win over any competition. So I could have 15 other people in the same industry that I'm in, but I know why you can't beat me. I have systems, I have manpower, and because I have systems, I have manpower, I make money. And because I make money, I will always be able to outspend you. I will always be able to put out more money on advertisement. And I would always be able to hire more team members to duplicate myself. Why? Because I have systems and I have sales and marketing. So if you're a brand and you're looking to start your business or grow your business, focus on system, sales, and marketing.
System, sales, and marketing. And so in that area of credibility now, how important is it for a speaker to have credibility? I mean, you had the cell phone business, you were successful, things like that. If someone is new and they're like, well, how do I get credibility? That's not my, I don't have a strong background like that. Is there any advice you would give to them on gaining some credibility as a speaker?
On gaining credibility as a speaker, what I would say is sell a story. You want to sell a story. Marketing is selling a story. So it's like McDonald's when they're marketing that I'm loving it. The story that they're selling is that this is the anticipated experience of doing business with them. I'm loving it. So what story are you selling? And communicate that story so effectively that they see that your journey through that story can only be told by you, through you, and then because you're the only one with that story is why they're going to choose you over anyone else.
You are just sharing all these nuggets. I am so excited. So before we close out and you kind of share, how people can connect to you, who should be connecting to you, what they can gain from making that step forward, in your bio, you said somebody believed, and I believe today you could be that somebody for somebody that's listening on today. What is one lesson, one thing of advice that you want to leave with our listeners before you go ahead and you share with them how they can connect with you and what you're offering?
I fortunately have someone who believed in me more than I believed in myself. And had I known this information, especially during that time, I was not on social media during that time. This is like 7-8 years ago. I was not on social media during that time, so I didn't have access to content like this. And so what I'm going to share with you is that believe you have God in you. Believe that. Believe that you have God inside of you. And every action that you take is with the power of God. So if you can think, like I just saw a post that says, if God gave you the vision for the business, God will bring you the clients. And I believe what happens is that people are just so nearsighted, they only see what's 6 feet in front of them versus what's down the range. I would never have fathomed that I'm personally doing the things that I'm doing, and many times when I hear other people say that, I'm saying, yeah, but that's you. You went through a journey, you had your story. I'm in this position. I'm in my current position where I can't pay my bill next month, or I'm in this specific position where I got my kids, or I'm in this specific position where my husband is not supporting me, or whatever your circumstance is. You want to write this down. You're not a victim of your circumstance. You're a victor of your circumstance, meaning that you win over. You're not a victim of it. You're a victor. You're a victor of it. In the book that I was reading this morning, one of the things that I learned in that book about one of the strategies of war is about economizing. And what economizing is that there are many wars. If you look in history, I'm talking about early 1400s. There are wars where one side had more money than the other side at war. And the portion with the team, the group with less money, they were forced to get really creative. They were forced to really get really creative. And it forced the other team to spend a bunch of money. But at the end of the war, the team with the least amount of resources, financial resources, beat the other team. Why? Because of those resources that they had to get creative about. So your circumstance really is a blessing. Really is a blessing. So this is where we learned in that example that perception is reality, because what this team did was they made themselves appear much bigger much stronger. So it beat the other team because they were scared to take action. That's why they were pouring a bunch of money. But what happens if you keep pouring a bunch of money? The well runs dry at some point. So now the opponent's well is running dry to the point where they have no more money, and then boom, that's when this team with just not enough money attacks. So what I'm sharing with you is that in this economy that we're in right now, what is against you is really for you if you use it in that way. But if you act like a victim, oh, woe is me, I don't have enough money. Woe is me, I don't have enough time. Woe is me, I have too many kids. Woe is me, my husband don't believe in me. Woe is me, whatever. Then if you are a victim, then the reality is what you just said. I can't because X. But if you look at your circumstance as a victor, like how can I use this to my advantage? Then the reality is that it's X. Like your reality is what you create. So one of the things that I remember saying to myself, 13 years old Andy, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror and saying, I have a bigger chest than most men. I can't be successful. I can't. And I remember trying to look up to other Black men who were successful with bigger chests like mine. And I said, can I be like him? Can I be like him? And I couldn't find anyone. The closest one I got to was like a big rapper called Rick Ross, but his body was completely not the same as mine. And I realized in that moment, I can be the first. I'm the first. So I'm going to use this to my advantage. I'm going to tell the story. I'm going to share that to the world. And then guess what? People are going to, I believe, people are going to see me and say, yo, this dude is so fucking confident, man. There's nothing I can say to knock him down. And that's the point. You can't, because I've already accepted that. And I'm a victor to my circumstances, not a victim. So I'm sharing that with your audience. Look at your circumstance. Look at everything that's against you and decide to be a victor to your circumstances and use that to your advantage.
Man, woo, I know that y'all had to get something off today. I know y'all had to. I definitely got something out of today. And I do not want to close this without you being able to share exactly how people can connect to you, what they can connect to, how they can, keep in touch. And again, if you are watching this on the replay, if you have questions or anything like that, be sure to put that in there. We'll make sure that you are connected. So, Andy, if you will go ahead and close us out and let people know what you're offering and how they can connect with you.
Well, there's a marketing system that's made up of 3 components. Component number 1 is getting known on social media. So that's number 2. So I have this marketing system that I share with a group of speakers on my stage. And the reason I shared this system with them was because I wanted to make sure that every time they spoke on my stage, they made at minimum 10 grand from mass speaking engagement. Meaning, if I put you on stage in front of 100 people, that you make at minimum, worst case scenario, 10 grand, $10,000. Otherwise, it's not worth your time of flying. It's not worth your time of being there. It's not worth your time at all. So you need to make at least 10 grand per speaking engagement. So I break down the system at an event called the Brand Marketing Summit. It's a 2-day event. And if you want to learn more about it, go to joinbms.com. So actually go there, joinbms.com for 2 days. So it's component number 1 is awareness on social media. Component number 2 is automating. At that 2-day event, I teach you how to automate your business to successfully book appointments on your calendar automatically without you having to be a part of it. And the last thing is going to be delegate. Remember, I talked about systems. You want to write this down, get it off your plate, and delegate. At Brand Marketing Summit, where I teach you, joinbms.com. At joinbms.com, I teach you how to hire the support of virtual team members outside the United States to have them run your business. And guess what? It's completely free. It's focused on income versus expense. So when I hire a virtual team member, they get paid from the profit of my business. So at this 2-day event, I'm going to teach you how to hire team members to work in your organization that get paid from the profit of your business, that you're not constantly coming out of pocket. So once you have this system, number 1, awareness, getting people to know you on social media. Number 2, automation, where you're using software to book appointments on your calendar. Number 3, delegation, where you're hiring virtual assistants outside of the United States to run and manage your business at this 2-day event, Friday and Saturday. We have one coming up on February. Joinbms.com, put your information, and I look forward to seeing you at the event.
Woo! Yes, you guys. We're virtual, so you can give some hearts, some love. Thank you so much. I am so grateful that you decided to come and share your knowledge and your services with those that are showing up, right? So I just
are there questions in the comment box?
I don't see any questions right now. Any questions? Yes, if there's any questions, go ahead and drop those in really quick. We got some hearts here. And just any questions, just let us know. Again, I will come back through later on and see if there's any questions to make sure that I tag our speaker so that he can definitely connect with you. The best way to connect is joinbms.com and go ahead and sign up and see if those are right for you, that automation, right? Someone else doing the work so that you can focus on your message and your products and things of that nature. So this was really good. Again, I don't see any questions, so we're going to go ahead and close out. I just want to say thank you. I'm grateful again that you showed up for us and that you shared your knowledge. This was definitely some nuggets to take away. So again, you guys, show some hearts and give love to Andy as he leaves the stage today. Thank you, Andy. So again, I just want to thank you all for showing up. I want to thank you guys for coming. And just remember that we will be here every month. Once a month, we're going to show up. I have a few more interviews, but then we have some trainings that will happen throughout the year. So I'm excited for just this whole year because I know that it's going to be powerful. And again, my goal is always to connect you to the resources that you need so that you can get on the stages that you need to be. So again, my name is Lanice McGee. I'm grateful that you came. And remember, your stage is waiting. Your stage is waiting. So don't stop speaking. Don't stop sharing and never stop growing. Why? Because somebody needs to hear your voice. Until next time, may your voice change the nation. I will see you guys soon. Thank you.